Hey, Taylor Ellwood here, and I decided to do the Magical Experiments broadcast about an hour and a half earlier than I normally do. I know I said I was going to do it at 6:30 tonight. Sorry, I'm not, because I actually have today off, and I figured get it out of the way, and also because I want to watch Stranger Things season 3. So there you go. So I'm doing a little bit earlier, but I wanted to talk today about holidays and how to work with them. It seems kind of appropriate because today is the 4th of July in the U.S. And so living here, I can tell you that, the energy of the 4th of July is always a little crazy and frenetic because, of course, people are busy getting their fireworks on, or people are, this year in particular, some people are, all Trump-tastic, and other people are anything but, and are pissed off about Trump. And so there's that flavoring. And then, of course, there's also just the reality that with a given holiday, you have a lot of other baggage that comes with it. And with the case of the 4th of July, there's a lot of historical baggage that comes with it. So there you go. But, you take all that and you have holiday energies, and you can work with those holidays energies. So today I decided I would do this video all about working with the holidays. And as I said, I'm doing it a little early, but you guys will live. More importantly, hey, I will be happier because I get to watch Stranger Things season 3 a little bit earlier, and I want to do that. So there we go. Okay, so I first came up with this idea of working with the energy of a holiday a few years back. I thought it would be kind of an interesting thing because what I always notice is that with any given holiday, whether it's a national holiday, and like in the case of the U.S., it's 4th of July. For Canada, it was July 1st. But or if it's a day where it's like a quote unquote religious holiday, I'm going to use Christmas as an example, or if you're or something like Easter, or something else along those lines. That's more of a more Christian, but then you also have Beltane, you have Samhain, or Halloween, or all that other stuff. Anyway, the point of the fact is that if you have any group of people that are observing a specific day as a holiday, a holy day, that day ends up having specific energies associated with it. And those energies, of course, are associated with it by virtue of the fact that people celebrate that day as something significant. So when people are putting a lot of energy toward a given day and making it something significant, it kind of becomes its own entity, its own living being in its own right. So like if you look at 4th of July as an entity in its own right, at least for the US, it's a very significant day. So it kind of has its own presence, its own life to it. And when that day dawns and, people are going about and they're throwing their barbecues and having firecrackers go off and all that other fun stuff, what they're doing is they're perpetuating the energy, the life of that holiday, and making it something that stands out even more. Well, for us enterprising magicians, of course, this is also an opportunity to skim a little bit of that energy off the top and put it toward our own use. And that's basically how I look at holiday magic, is that when I'm going to do a magical working on a given holiday, I'm going to skim off the top of that holiday and take that energy and apply it for certain things. Now, there are some interesting, I'm going to say, rules or considerations. So if you're going to work with the energy of a holiday, ideally the magical working you're going to do is going to be themed around that holiday. For example, if you're going to do a magical working around Christmas, as an example, or Yule, then you're probably going to want to work with, you might want to work with the energy of greed in that holiday, because let's be honest here, there's lots of greed when it comes to Christmas, or the energy of giving, or something else along those lines, and incorporate that into your magical working. In the case of 4th of July, I mean, you have lots of nationalistic energy going into the 4th of July. So, you could work with the energy of the nation around then. For example, I would suggest doing a working with, the Statue of Liberty, or Lady Justice, or the goddess Columbia, who was the original icon associated with the U.S. before Uncle Sam came along. You can even work with Uncle Sam, though Uncle Sam's energy is a little iffy in some ways. There's reasons for that. But there you go. And of course, you could work with the United States flag or whatever else. Um, I'll admit I did a working today, and my working actually ended up being a tarot reading where I did a working kind of on like where kind of the direction of where this country's going in, and I also did I also turned it into an active enchantment because my goal was really to kind of work it in a way that would, specifically help toward making some changes for the better in this country. I'm not going to really go into my political things here, but let's just say that I, don't like the current direction the country's going in, and we'll leave it at that. Enough said. And so, I figured I would do a working around that and just kind of see what it would reveal to me, and then, what could be done to maybe make some changes to move the country into a better direction than where it's going. And that was basically my holiday magic because I was working with the energy of the 4th of July, and I was taking actually the conflicted energies of both sides, because right now we have this kind of polarity going, the left and the right, and and everything else with that. And of course, I would say that a lot of what I was really going toward was also at the same time something along the lines of people coming to their senses in this country, and not going insane with racism and everything else that just seems to be happening way too much lately. I mean, no racism is good in my opinion. I mean, there's no, no any sign of racism is a bad thing, but when it's so over the top as it has been of late, it's even worse. Well, no, I don't know. There's no universal racism who's good in any way, shape, or form. Let's just leave it at that, okay? It's not good. Period. Anyway, so I did this tarot reading, and I kind of took the energy of the holiday and the energy of what people are feeling right now and the debates that are going on and everything in this country, and put it toward that working and toward this notion of taking our country to a better place. And that was kind of my work, and was driven toward working with Lady Justice, making sure that because justice is blind, but the justice will come to the people that it needs to come to, and that at the same time, that it will really come for the people who need it. The people who are in situations that are far more unfortunate, the people right now, for example, that are at the southern border of the country and are in facilities they're basically concentration camps, things along those lines. So that's kind of what I did with the energy of the holiday. I mean, you could do other things with the energy of the holiday. You could put it toward something that you really want to get. But I think for me at least, and part of this I think is a reflection of the fact that my work with magic has changed in certain ways. It's less about getting stuff from me, and it is really more about, well, where am I in the web of life? And what is going on in the web of life? Well, in this case, I'm looking at the web of life in relationship to the country, and working with the 4th of July in that particular context just seemed more appropriate to work with it in that way than being like, well, I'll just skim off the top and use it to get something I really want. I mean, I guess you could, and that would fit in with the energy of capitalism in this country, right? Get that new car you want or whatever else, but just didn't seem really relevant to me. Anyway, you take the energy of any given holiday, 4th of July, Memorial Day, anything along those lines, and you can work with it for different purposes. The fact of the matter is, when people are putting energy into a given day, what they're doing is they're giving all their energy away to that day and to the celebration of that day and everything else. And so it's very easy to just grab onto it and apply it towards your own purposes. And it makes for a free source of energy. It's kind of fascinating to me because when I watch a given holiday occur, you kind of feel the energy start to ramp up. Like with Christmas, it really starts ramping up right after Halloween. Even people are trying to make it ramp up even before Halloween now, which I'm just like, oh, please don't do that. But it starts to ramp up right after Halloween. It kind of gloms onto Thanksgiving too. Like Thanksgiving and Christmas go hand in hand. And then it just sort of ratchets its way up. With the 4th of July, it's interesting because the 4th of July, it doesn't have any major holidays before it other than maybe Memorial Day, which kind of leads into it, but it's far enough away that really, no, it doesn't. But what's interesting is like the week of, that's where I start to see things get more and more frenetic and crazy and just a little weird. You see the energy start ratcheting up, and people are like, "Oh, it's the 4th of July. Things are going to be happening," and so you can tap into that energy even before the holiday. Right after the holiday, the energy just seems to dissipate, and the reason why is because the egregore of that holiday has been summoned, it has been experienced and expressed, and it's no longer needed. It's going off to rest because it's going to be needed again next year. And so, if you're going to do your magical workings with a holiday, it's really ideal that you tap into it, in the days leading up to it, and then of course the day itself. So you could, theoretically do like a few, like a several day working where like you build up on the energy of the holiday and you use the buildup of that energy to cycle it and grab it and push it forward with whatever it is that you're trying to do. I mean, that's certainly a possibility. Either way, I mean, whatever you want to do with it, and you just kind of want to think about it in regards to that. And if you are working with the spirit of the holiday, the egregore, not just the holiday energy, but the egregore itself, like I said, you want to keep in mind that what you're working with really has a specific context. And so you want to work with it in that context, because if you're working against that context, like let's say you chose to work with Christmas. We'll go back to Christmas as an example, and you were working with the energy of Christmas, but you decided to do it like from a place of grinchiness, right? Well, the Christmas energy is going to resist that, or it's going to find a way to turn that grinchiness toward its own gain, because it's all about making the Grinch into a bigger hearted being, right? So it's kind of an interesting thing in and of itself, because you'll even find that a holiday will take in something like the Grinch in the case of Christmas, and take it in and basically co-opt it and turn it into something that works for it, so that somebody who's displaying stinginess or scrooginess or grinchiness or whatever is going to find that if they were trying to work magic toward that purpose, it's going to end up being co-opted by the holiday itself, because the holiday is so much more powerful. I mean, look at it this way: you have tons of people participating in these holidays, right? They're putting all that energy into it. That's gonna trump anything that you're trying to do. So instead, what you want to do is you actually want to, if you're going to work with a holiday energy, you want to really take the energy of the holiday and take the momentum and put it towards something in your favor that also works with the spirit of the holiday. That's why I would say, like in the case of 4th of July, either something that's quote unquote patriotic or something working for the good of the country, like I was talking about in my work earlier, or capitalism, because hey, there's all those 4th of July sales right now, right? And you really want something, then I guess you could do capitalism as well, because that's the American way. Yeah. All right, so that's it for the video. Yes, it happened earlier than you expected, but you know what? I want to watch my Stranger Things, and I'm going to go watch that right now. So take care and have a wonderful, happy 4th of July, a safe one. Don't hurt yourselves, and you know, just be kind to each other, folks, please. We really need it right now. Take care.